Welcome to OB's Math E-Pathshala.
Today's topic is Boolean rings.
I shall start with a question that in our previous discussion we have extensively discussed about the properties of prime ideals, and we have found that a maximal ideal is always prime in a commutative ring with unity. Now I shall start with the question that whether a prime ideal in a commutative ring with unity, commutative ring with unity 1 is a maximal ideal. So this is a question. We have already proved that every maximal ideal is prime in a commutative ring with unity. Now the question is whether the converse is true or not. That is, a prime ideal in a commutative ring with unity is maximal or not. So in this regard, we can have an example which is the singleton 0 subset of ideal 2Z subset of Z, and these are all proper ideals. So this singleton 0, this is a prime ideal, but 2Z is an ideal which contains this ideal 0 and contained in Z properly. So this means this prime ideal 0, so this is not a maximal ideal. Although the ring is commutative with unity 1. Now the question can be modified as, is it possible for a non-zero prime ideal in a commutative ring with unity 1 to be a maximal? Now today we shall discuss about a particular type of ring in which the answer of this question is apparent. So the ring which we are set to investigate is defined to be the Boolean ring, which can be defined as, the definition of a Boolean ring is Boolean ring. The name is due to the mathematician Boole. So the Boolean ring can be defined as, for a ring with unity 1, then R is called a Boolean ring. A Boolean ring if x square equal to x for all x belongs to R. That is, the square of each term is the element itself. And if it is true for all x belongs to R, then R is called a Boolean ring. For a basic example, we can set the ring Z2 plus dot. This is a Boolean ring. Since this ring has two elements, 0 class and 1 class, and if we square both of this, 0 class square equal to 0 and 1 class square equal to 1. So this means that Z2 is a Boolean ring. Another important example that can be defined for a non-empty set X. So this is one. This is the number 2 example, that is, let X be a non-empty set. And now consider the power set of X. The power set of X. Yeah. Now on this power set, we define two operations, plus and dot, addition and multiplication, to make it a ring by the rule that is given any two sets in the power set of X, that is any two subsets of X, A and B, we are defining the addition as A symmetric difference B, that is A difference B union B difference with A. And the multiplication can be defined as their intersection. So this is true for all A, B belongs to the power set of X. Now with this definition of addition and multiplication, one can easily check that this is your task. So check on your own that power set of X with respect to these two operations forms a commutative ring with unity. With unity. Now what is the unity here? What should be the unity? Since we are considering the intersection, so A intersection X is a X intersection A. So X will be the unity for that ring. So unity X. That is a whole set X. And also note that for any subset of X, that is for any member of the power set of X, A, just take the square of A, which is A dot A. That means now dot is intersection here, so A intersection A, and that must be A. So we have seen that the square of any member of the power set of X is the element itself. So this is true for all A belongs to power set of X. So thus every element of the power set of X is an idempotent element, and which concludes that power set of X is a Boolean ring. Is a Boolean ring. And the interesting fact is that this ring has an important feature whenever we are concerned about Boolean rings. Now, if you consider a finite Boolean ring R, then any finite Boolean ring R can be made isomorphic to made isomorphic to a power set ring. Any finite Boolean ring R is isomorphic to a power set ring power set of X for some suitably chosen set capital X. So this is an interesting fact that any finite Boolean ring is isomorphic, can be made isomorphic to a power set ring power set of X for some suitably chosen set capital X. So this is an important characteristic of Boolean rings. Although we are not going to prove this theorem, now we move forward to prove the important feature of this Boolean ring, the basic feature, which is, first of all, a Boolean ring is a commutative ring. A Boolean ring is a commutative ring. So it is naturally commutative using the definition of Boolean rings. You can prove that it is actually a commutative ring with having characteristic 2. Having characteristic 2. That is, a Boolean ring is a commutative ring with characteristic 2. And that can be achieved by using only the definition. So let us have a look at the proof, the sketch of the proof. Just consider any two elements of the ring R, where R is a Boolean ring, where R is a Boolean ring. Let us suppose. Now, what shall I do? Just taking the square of x plus y. Then by the definition of R, Boolean ring, so this square must be the element itself. And now doing the multiplication of x to x plus y to x plus y. So that is x plus y. So just doing the multiplication in a natural way, we can have this is x square xy plus this is yx plus y square, and this is x plus y. Now again we have seen that there are two square elements. So this must be x and this is xy, this is yx, this is y, this is x plus y. Now cancelling out both these elements, we will have x plus y plus x equals to 0. That is, x plus y equals to minus y plus x. Now it seems that xy is minus yx. So maybe the ring is not commutative. But since the Boolean ring has a basic structure is that every element is idempotent. So that is the important structure of this ring. So for that reason, if we put y equals to x in this equation, what we will get? You will get this is x dot x equals to minus x dot x. That means x square equal to minus x square. But square is the element itself. So it is x equal to minus x, and that means every element is the additive inverse of itself. So 2x is 0. And this is true for all x belongs to R. So from this, we can say that R has characteristic 2. And not only that, using this fact, you actually have x equal to minus x. That means, and this is true for all x. So using this fact, using this x equal to minus x, we have from this equation, so this is xy equal to minus yx, that means minus yx, that is yx, since y is equal to minus 1. And this proves that R is commutative. So this completes the proof of this result. That is, a Boolean ring is commutative with characteristic 2. Now our intention was that we are going to prove that every prime ideal is maximal in this Boolean ring. So that was our prime interest, that we have a ring where this result holds. So let us write down the statement of the theorem. So in a Boolean ring, yes, it is true. That is, every prime ideal is maximal. Every prime ideal is maximal. So let us have
কি লিখেছেন ওই অ্যাসেন্সের পরে
হ্যাঁ কোনটা বলো
ওই x ইকুয়াল টু মাইনাস x করার পর তারপর ওটা কি লিখেছেন
এটা
তারপরে
এটা
আর ইজ কমিউটেটিভ এর আগের লাইন
R is commutative এর আগে, এটা implies
মানে ওই আগের লাইনটা বলুন
মানে xy equal to minus yx, এই যে এখানে so minus yx means minus y dot x. This is a property of a ring. X dot minus y equal to minus x dot y equal to minus xy, right? Okay. So every prime ideal is maximal. So for this, let us consider a prime ideal I. I be a prime ideal in a Boolean ring R. Now to prove that it is maximal, we need to consider another ideal. So let J be another ideal which is sitting in between I and the ring R. J contains I and contained in R. And we have assumed that this I is a proper subset of J. So to show that I is maximal, it is enough to show that, so claim is J coincides with R to show that I is maximal. Now since I is a proper subset of J, what does it mean? There must exist an element B belongs to J which will not lie in I. This. Now let us invite a trick, which is B dot 1 minus B. Since R is a Boolean ring, so it contains the unity 1. Now we consider this element b dot 1 minus b, then what will happen? This is b minus b square. But since the ring is Boolean, so it is actually b minus b. So that is going to be 0. And 0 belongs to I. So this element, that is product of b and 1 minus b, is in I, but I is prime. So at least one of these elements will lie in I. That is either b belongs to I or 1 minus b belongs to I. But our assumption was that b is an element of J which is not in I. So b does not belong to I. So this implies 1 minus b must be in I. Now I is a subset of J. So 1 minus b is an element of J. And b belongs to J. So together this will imply that as J being an ideal, so together this will imply that 1 minus b plus b. So this is in J. But 1 minus b plus b means 1. So that is the unity will lie in the ideal J. And if this happens, then the ideal must be the whole ring R. This is a standard result that if any ideal contains the unity, then it will be actually the whole ring R. So J is R. And this proves that I is a maximal ideal. I is a maximal ideal. Okay. Now, so in Boolean ring we have achieved the success in proving that every prime ideal is maximal. So this is a ring where this result holds. Now I want to explore a problem that is, whenever we see that in a commutative ring with unity, if every ideal is prime, then that commutative ring is nothing but a field. So let R be a commutative ring with unity 1 such that every ideal in R is prime. Then we must have that R is a field. So there is no other choice. So R must be a field. So to show that R is a field, our aim is to show that firstly it is an integral domain. So firstly we show that capital R be an integral domain. So to show that it is an integral domain, so we need to consider two elements A and B which satisfies that AB is 0. But then if AB is 0, then AB must be in the ideal generated by 0. That is the 0 ideal. And as we know that 0 ideal is a prime ideal, so being a prime ideal, so we must have either A belongs to this ideal or B belongs to this ideal. But in this ideal, there is no other element except 0. So either A equal to 0 or B equal to 0. And this proves that R contains no divisor of 0. That is, R is an integral domain. So this implies R is an integral domain. Yeah. Now next we would like to show that every non-zero element in R is a unit. That is, every non-zero element in R has multiplicative inverse. So to achieve this one, let us see that now if we consider any A belongs to R, then AR dot AR dashed, AR dot AR dashed, so this must be S square R R dash. Since the ring is commutative, so we can do this in the ring R. So S square R R dash, that means this element must be in the ring in the ideal generated by S square. The ideal generated by S square. Yeah. So we have, but our assumption was that every ideal is prime. So if the product of two elements will lie in the ideal, then at least one of them will be in the ideal. So that means this ideal is prime. So either AR belongs to the ideal S square or AR dashed belongs to the ideal S square. And this implies that for either case, if one of these holds, then you can say that the ideal generated by A is a subset of the ideal generated by S square. But since S square equal to A dot A and the ring and the ideal A contains A, so this ideal is automatically a subset of the ideal A, and together this will imply that the ideal A is actually the ideal generated by A square. And so small a belongs to the ideal generated by A, which is equal to the ideal generated by A square. That is, A belongs to this ideal. So A belongs to this ideal implies that there must exist an element B belongs to R, such that A can be represented as A square B. That means, taking A common, we will have A dot 1 minus AB equals to 0. So now if we let A is a non-zero element, then since the ring is an integral domain and the product of these two elements equals to 0 and A is non-zero, so this will imply that AB must be 1. And this proves that A is a unit in R. So hence R is a commutative ring with unity where every non-zero element is a unit. And this proves that R must be a field. Yeah. Now to achieve another characterization of prime ideals, we need to define another operations on the collection of ideals, left ideals, right ideals, or ideals in a ring. That is, we are considering the product of ideals, so that we can define using the multiplication induced in the ring R. So what is the definition of product of ideals? How can you define? So firstly, let us suppose A and B be two. Let these are left ideals in a ring. Suppose we are considering a general ring, commutative or not. Then we define the set. Define the set of all those finite sums, summation k equals to 1 to n, ak, bk, where ak's are taken from the ideal A and bk's are taken from the ideal B. Now this set is again a left ideal in R. Just if you take any two finite sums of this form and doing their difference, I equal to 1 to m ai dashed bi dashed, then together we can write it as, by set up a new indexing, we can write it as j equal to 1 to m plus n sum aj bj, just taking them both of them as one finite sum, and just putting a new index j equal to 1 to m plus n aj bj. So this is again an element of this set. Now if we consider any R belongs to capital R, then R, AK are all in the ideal A, being an ideal, being a left ideal. So R, AKs are in A, and so if we multiply R with summation AK, BK, k equal to 1 to n, then we will see that this is actually R, AK, BK, k equal to 1 to n. Now these elements are in A, so again it is a sum of the elements of this form. So this is in the set, in the defined set defined above. And this proves that this set is actually a left ideal. So this set is a left ideal in R. constructed by the ideals A and B. So this is a left ideal in R, and this is denoted by capital A, B. So capital AB is AK, BK, where AK belongs to A and BK belongs to B. There. And it is called the product of two ideals A and B. So in a similar way, one may consider right ideals or ideals, simply ideals in a ring R, and form their products accordingly. And also, if we consider three ideals ABC in a ring R, then one may check that easily that if A, B, C are three left ideals in the ring R, then one may check that number one, the product of ideals what we have defined is associative. And also number two, this distributes over addition of two ideals. And A plus B, C is AC plus BC. So this product of left ideals or right ideals or ideals, so it has these two basic properties. Now using this product of ideals, one can characterize the prime ideals in a commutative ring. What is the statement? Firstly, we consider a commutative ring. A commutative ring and then an ideal capital P is a prime ideal if and only if for any two ideals A and B of R, if and only for any two ideals AB in R, if their product is a subset of P, then this implies either A is a subset of P or B is a subset of P. So an ideal is prime if and only for any two ideals A and B of R, if their product is contained in the ideal P, then either one of them will be in the ideal P. So this is again a characterization of prime ideals in terms of product of ideals. So let us have a look on the proof how it goes. So let P be a prime ideal. P be a prime ideal and A, B be any two ideals having the property that their product is contained in the ideal P. So we claim that either A subset of P or B subset of P. And to show this, we need to assume that, so let A is not a subset of P. Then the other case will definitely occur. That is B is a subset of P. So that is our aim. Now, since A is not a subset of P, so you must find an element A belongs to capital A such that which is not sitting in the ideal P. Since A is A is not a subset of P, but our assumption was that the product of the ideals is a subset of P. So this implies using this element A, we can say that A dot B. What is B? B belongs to the ideal B. Any element of B. So AB belongs to the product of this ideal. But this is a subset of P. So A dot B belongs to P. And this is true for all B belongs to the ideal capital B. Now our assumption was that P is prime. So that means since the product of these two elements is in P, so either A belongs to P or B belongs to P. But according to the choice of the element A, we see that A is not in P. So the second case will occur. So P must be in P. And this is true for all B belongs to capital B. And this implies capital B is a subset of P. So this proves that if P is prime, then for any ideals A and B, if their product is a subset of P, then either A subset of P or B subset of P. This is true. Conversely, suppose that the condition holds. Conversely, suppose that the condition holds. That is, for any two ideals A and B, if A is subset of P, then either A subset of P or B subset of P. And using this, we need to prove that P is prime. So let us suppose that A dot B belongs to P for some A and B belongs to R. AB belongs to P. So we claim that either A belongs to P or B belongs to P. Now since we are considering a commutative ring, it may contains unity or it may not. But we don't have to bother of this fact, whether it contains unity or not. We are considering, so we consider the ideals generated by A and B. So we consider the ideals generated by A and generated by B. Now the ideal generated by A, so it consists of the elements of the form NA plus RA. NA plus RA, where N is an integer and smaller is an element of the ring R. So this is a general element staying in the ideal generated by A. Similarly, the ideal generated by B, it consists of the elements of the form MB plus SB, where M is an integer and S is a member of R. Yeah. Now we need to consider the product of the elements taken from the ideal generated by A and the ideal generated by B. So let Na plus Ra be an element of the ideal generated by A, and Mb plus Sb is an element belongs to the ideal generated by B, and their product will be Nm AB plus N S AB plus M R AB plus R S AB. Now each of these term of the element includes the element AB. And since we have assumed that AB is an element of P, and P being an ideal, we have this product must be in the ideal P. So Na plus Ra dot Mb plus Sb must be in P. And since the product of these two elements is in P, so you can say that P contains their finite sums. Sum of the elements which looks like this. And so is their finite sums. And this implies that P contains the product of the ideals A and B. P contains the product of the ideals generated by A and generated by B. But by our assumption, if this is true, then this will imply by the hypothesis that either the ideal generated by A will be in P, or the ideal generated by B will be in the ideal P. This. Now since now A can be written as A plus 0A, and B can be written as B plus 0B. So for this reason, so either A belongs to P or B belongs to P. Since A belongs to this ideal and B belongs to this ideal, so you can say that either A belongs to P or B belongs to P, and hence P is prime. Hence P is prime. So let us stop here.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like and share.